Welcome to Sam's Antique Motors. Sam Wilson here. Today we're working on the door. This whole lower edge of this door on this passenger side is just completely rotten out. Someone's tried to fix it once before and it's a mess. The actual underside of the door is bad also. So today we're going to cut this bottom piece of the door out and then take this patch panel. And I'm actually not going to use the whole patch panel because I want to keep these from the original one, but we're going to come in and cut this out to get this whole bottom piece out of this patch panel. And we're going to spot this back in, and then once we get that spotted in, then we're going to go back and flip it over and replace the skin on the front side of this because it too is pretty fouled up. So I thought I'd make a little video and a few pieces of kind of how this works. And what I've done is I've come in here and I've traced off the line of what I want to replace. I want to keep this door pocket. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to keep this part of the door, but I'm going to definitely cut all this out. I put some registration marks here so that I know that this is exactly 12 inches to the lip of this. And I also came up here on the top and put some registration marks to know where this little bead right here goes, so that I can make sure that fits back the way it's supposed to be. So I've got this kind of marked off the way I want it, and now I'm going to come in here with this die grinder and first I'm going to try to peel this lip back, which I don't know how successful I'm going to be at that. And then I'm going to take a die grinder and cut this bottom piece out. So we'll see how that works. All right, one cutting disc wiped out. So I'm gonna stop the video, go get another disc, and continue to see if I can get this bottom piece cut off. I'm back. This is just a real mess here. So and this has had a plate welded in here, so I'm gonna try to just cut around that. I also know, well actually I can see in there now. Get a flashlight. There's some kind of plate structure in here that I don't want to cut up that plate structure, so I'm going to go after this kind of neat. One rusty shitty piece taken out. This is sort of humorous. One Sharpie pen left in from the prior repairs. Okay, it actually doesn't look that bad in there. This is a piece of plate in here that I don't think is supposed to be in here. It looks like this is where they welded in this piece of plate to try to stiffen up this door, so all that's going to come out. And that's why I was having a hard time cutting this. It's going through a piece of 1/8 inch plate. So this whole skin right here is going to get replaced on the front. This is the patch panel that goes on the front right here. So once I get this spotted back in, then we'll flip it over and work on that side. But I definitely want to just cut this out across here. hence the problem. Some knucklehead came in here and welded this piece of 1/8" plate in here and then filled the rest of this with Bondo. So no wonder the door didn't work worth a shit. All right, so I think I'm gonna come in here and clean this all back up and then work on trying to get the new piece trial fitted. So we're gonna cut the bulk of this off and just go back with what we need off of this piece right here, saving all this door pocket on the original door, but getting us a new bottom lip down here. So, a little bit of cleanup time, and then we'll work on getting that next piece fitted. Well, after an afternoon of cutting, slicing, fitting, and matching, I think I've got this panel ready to go in. So I cut away all the parts that I didn't want, which was all of this door pocket and all these grooves, because the original grooves are closer and we're in good shape, no rust. So I wanted to leave this pocket. This pocket is what lines up the door, and it's all in good shape. So I came in here and just custom fit this line, and then I have a tool which works not very well at all, but does work. It's this impact driver that puts a little lip. So what I did is I cut this bottom piece about a 1/2" long, and then I lipped it all the way along here so that this piece will squeeze up in here, and then I can weld it easily right across there. So I've got this fitted. The other thing I did is I wound up just making a template. I traced the other door and made this door template so that I can make sure that this curve is right. Because you can see this is hanging down. It's flush up here. It's hanging down about 1/4 inch. So that's pretty easy to correct. I just got to bend this tab, but I'm not going to do that till I get this welded in. And then I'll hammer that tab back where it needs to go. On this other side, this is a problem I'm not exactly sure how to fix. That I traced this door panel, and you can see it following the door of the other one until it gets down to here. And then that's a solid 1/4 inch off. And this was the index piece that I left on right out here. So that's why these doors were so fouled up from the start. They were hanging out about a 1/2 inch on one side, and this door is just not the same shape as the other one. So I'm gonna try to take some of that out when I put this new piece back on here, which I think I'm gonna do next. I think I'm gonna try to take a little of that curvature out. But bottom line is, this piece is ready to be welded in, and all looks pretty good. So I'm gonna flip it over and work on the other side door next. All right, I got the door flipped over. We're gonna have to work out this dent in the door right here, but I got the door flipped over, and I measured from this point right here to this point right here on the door before I cut it apart. It's 36.5 inches, I think. And I measured it also on the good door. It's not in bad shape. So I got these dimensions exactly the same for this pan to come in and wrap around this piece. I did the same thing over here on this side. And again, you can see where this template of that other door, that's the profile right there, that other door, and it's way off. But I think I can come in here, if I replace this patch panel and pull this panel down and get it to be at least the same shape as the other door. And then I can hang the doors. I got to replace all this cab corner and rocker, so I'll bring this cab corner to the door once I get the two doors at the same shape. So I laid this patch panel on here, and I marked the cut line across here. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this short and just grind this off so I protect this edge that's in here from the backside panel. And then I think I'm going to see if I can just spot weld this. I have a spot welder, and I think I can stick it up in there and spot weld across there without having to make this lip, and maybe make that a little cleaner weld. So next step, cut that out, get the spot welder out, and see if we can put that piece together. Now I got this piece cut out. I'll come back in. I always cut it just fat on the line because it's a lot easier to take a grinder and with a flap disc on it and cut it, straighten it to the line. But the door actually looks pretty good in here. I mean, that's shiny metal right there. It's, I mean, it's got some surface rust, but I don't really know why this door was so rusted out on the panel. But it's been creased right here, and there's a bar in there, so you can't really get in there and knock that out. And that dent up there is you also can't get to, so I'm gonna take a stud welder and put it on this ridge and just pull this out. So I think I can get that done. But now the trick is going to be to get this deal here lined up with these panels, which I think is now getting closer to being possible. You can see how that'll lift up now and close that gap. So we're going to do a little more carving on this to get this off kind of gently, and we'll straighten up this edge, and then we'll be ready to come back in here and spot weld that back in. Well, I'm back at it today, and since I had the bottom of this door cut off, I came in here and was able, there's a brace up in there I was able to lever off of to pry this dent out. So I got this thing, I think, pretty close enough to come in, and what's left can be brought back fair with some filler, but I got the dent out. And then what I did is I made a pattern that has the curve of the door, which is only about 1/8 of an inch off, but just a little bit of a curve of the door. And then I've taken this strip of metal and I'm going to spot weld it to this patch panel. And I've kind of, I want to spot weld in the curve, and then I'll use that to lip up underneath this, and it'll make it easier to weld. So I've got this thing ready to spot weld. I'm going to take it over to the vintage spot welding machine and see what I can do. Well, I filled in these holes. There were a couple of extraneous mirror holes and a couple of holes right here in this rail, so I filled these in and ground those back down smooth. And then I got this plate patched back in here, all stitch welded, and now I'm going to flip this thing over and work on tightening it up on the back side. I now have all this bottom piece stitched in here. Remember, I made a little lip, so this is just securing this to that lip. So I just stitch welded that all the way down the end. Still got a couple of places where I got some holes I'm going to come fill in. And I got the lip bent over the end of this, which was kind of no small trick. Took a big hammer to kind of do that. When I got all done, the edge of this door is not straight. So it's supposed to have a little taper coming in there, but it had too much taper. So I've come in here and welded a little 1/8 inch square rod along the curve of this door here. Just stitched it in. I just got it stitched in now. I'm fixing to cut it off and then secure it properly. But I'm just going to show that's kind of what you got to do on some of these trucks. I measured the doors, and from side to side they're exactly 38 inches. So just have to fabricate this to make it match. Well, by way of a little epilogue, I woke up last night a little bit panicked because you recall that I reshaped the trailing edge of this door to make it match the other door because it was out about 3/8, maybe even 1/2 of an inch. And I realized that I'm not positive the other door was right, although I believed it was. And I really should have been shaping it to the cab corner. So this morning I grabbed the cab corner patch panel that I'm going to use to replace the cab, and I came in and held this up to the door and fortunately, this is what Living Right does for you. This is really the exact profile of this door. So it was the right call to shape this, to change the curvature of this door to what I thought was correct. So Living Right. I'm going to put this video together. Everybody have a nice day.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.